And joining us right now, as he often does on Thursday morning when we are lucky, he's the one and only Stuart Varney from Fox Business Channel. Of course, he's the anchor of Varney and Company every day, weekday at least, at 11 a.m. Hello, Stuart.
I'm the lucky one, okay? I get to appear with you guys, so that's a big deal for a poor foreigner fresh off the boat.
There you go. Wow.
Bro, please. Nothing poor about you, nor a foreigner, sir. Listen, I wax poetic often about the range of topics that you have on Varney and Company. I know that it's on the Fox Business Channel, and I think it's funny. A lot of people think that Fox Business Channel means that it's just a constant ticker of stock quotes and stuff. But you talk about everything, and that's why I love it. It's what we do here as well. And I see you had former NFL great Dan Marino yesterday talking about the deflated ball scandal in the Super Bowl. And this is a major topic. And frankly, because it's the Super Bowl and there's a lot of money involved, I think that it's a perfect thing in your wheelhouse. What did Dan Marino tell you?
Well, we stretched a point. We turned Deflategate into a financial story because the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. We had Dan Marino, we had Joe Theismann, and I got Greg Norman on the show to comment on this, too.
Oh, I didn't know you had Washington Redskins great Joe Theismann. That's bring it right back home to Washington.
I heard that Joe Theismann says this is a pretty big deal.
He thinks it's a pretty big deal, and he thinks maybe there needs to be a new rule on the definitive inflation level of a ball and whose ball goes into the game. He thinks there may be room for a new rule on this one. I mean, I'm not sure I can agree with another rule, another technicality in football, which is riddled with rules. But Greg Norman said, hey, wait a minute, there's no room for any form of cheating, suspected or otherwise, in any sport. That was his input. But Dan Marino, to answer your question, Dan Marino said, yeah, look, a slightly deflated ball is a little easier to throw and catch. So there was a mixed bag of responses to this story.
Well, that's interesting. Usually when you talk about inflation and deflation, it has to do with the economy and not football, but I'm glad. Hey, listen, during the State of the Union, the president made reference, as he often does, to someone who was sitting in the gallery. Take a listen to this clip.
They were young and in love in America. And it doesn't get much better than that. If only we had known, Rebecca wrote to me last spring, what was about to happen to the housing and construction market. As the crisis worsened, Ben's business dried up, so he took what jobs he could find, even if they kept him on the road for long stretches of time.
Yeah. Oh, God, you're making me relive this.
Rebecca took out student loans.
Yeah, I know.
And enrolled in community college.
Well, anyway, so we heard about the plight of one Rebecca Earler. She was sitting up in the gallery, up there, was sitting with the First Lady. Turns out this struggling mom has a political past. Isn't that right, Stuart?
She was a plant. She was a former staffer for Democrat Senator Patty Murray, and the president actually spent a day in the life of Miss Earler in June of last year. She was no stranger to the president, no stranger to this administration. She was a plant. And that's the best they could do to demonstrate help for the middle class? I mean, that's really extraordinary. That's terrible political planning on the part of the president's political staff.
Yeah, did they think we weren't going to figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Is this amateur hour all over again? It really is. And this morning, we've got classic examples of what happens with Obamonomics. We've got major layoffs of solid middle-class jobs. eBay, American Express. American Express is laying off 4,000 people. And, Brian, as you know, the drillers and the oil companies are laying off by the thousands across the country because of the decline in oil prices. So what you've got here is a sudden rise in the demise of middle-class jobs. That's the verdict on 6 years of tax the rich, spend the money, and supposedly help the middle class. It's just not working.
I love that you call this woman a plant, Stuart, because it conjures images of like one of those phony psychics at a carnival. I'm sensing a woman in the room who's had a bad economic plight, and she's standing. We've never met before, have we, ma'am? It's great.
Well, isn't it exactly like that?
It is. It's absolutely like that.
All right, listen. No stranger. He's been involved in Democrat politics for a long, long time.
Yeah, in fact, she probably would have had a better economic time if Senator Patty Murray out of Washington hadn't fired her. She's the reason she had a problem with the job. Listen,
great story.
you make mention earlier today also about airlines right now suddenly reporting big profits.
Yes.
What is behind that? I travel quite a bit, and fares have been going up. They had said that the fares were going up because it cost so much to buy their jet fuel, but that's not the situation. Are they just pocketing those profits now?
Yes, they are. Look, I'm a capitalist like everybody, like you are. And
Yes.
I have no objection to corporations making significant profits, and that's what they're doing. And they're doing this because of the extraordinary drop in the price of jet fuel. And now, normally, I would say you made the money, you keep it, you reinvest in the company. But now I'm saying, hey, come on, give us a break. We've been paying sky-high airfares for a long, long time, justified by high jet fuel prices. Now give us a break.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that the airlines are different because it's not an open, free, capitalist marketplace with lots of competition.
Yeah.
The airline business is ruled by 5 majors who take 85% of the ticket sales. That's not free competition. So I'm saying if that's the structure of the industry, and you've made all this money because of low jet fuel prices, give it back to us, for heaven's sake.
But it seems to me that if one of the major 5 that you talk about wants to take some market share away from the others, that what they do and how they build loyalty is that they will drop sooner or later somebody's going to drop their prices.
Right, someone's going to blink and we'll have
and
a
then
fair
everybody
one,
will
right?
come down with them, won't they?
Theoretically, yes.
Well, then
and this is exactly what they should do. This is how capitalism is supposed to work. But I think they're going to pocket these profits and invest that money into a new generation of jetliners, because America's fleet is rather old.
That's true.
It looks rather tired compared to some of the Asian upstarts and some of the newer European companies. I think they'll probably keep the money, invest in better planes, and do it that way. Well, and I suppose in the end we'll win on that basis. But, I really would like a break on the ticket price.
Who wouldn't? Listen, on that front, the price of oil, do you see it staying low for a long time? Or and some have suggested that, we may well return to, $5 gas ere long.
Yeah, John Hofmeister, former president of Shell, on my show yesterday, he says there's a 50-50 chance that gas returns to $4 a gallon this year. And he says that because at $45, $46 a barrel, American drillers are packing up shop and shutting it down, and so are lots of foreign oil companies as well. So you shut down this oversupply. Demand is still rising. Result, by the end of this year, Hofmeister says, higher prices for oil and gas. The oil back to $80 a barrel, gas back to $4. Frankly, I don't see that. I just don't see it. I think oil is going to stay down in the $40 to $60 range for the rest of this year. But that's the kind of a forecast which, you never know with the oil market. Anything can happen. But look,
enjoy it while you can, huh?
I'm just basking in the glory of paying under $2 for a gallon of gas.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah, it reminds you of the old days, doesn't it? All right, Stuart Varney, thank you so much. Good to have you with us always.
Thank you, gentlemen.